Hello! Hi everybody, we're the Wowies, the first aid family.
Hello everyone, Howie Wowie here.
Hi everyone, I'm Zowie Wowie, Howie's sister. We're both here to show you around the programme. Oh yes, and Bowie Wowie will help out too.
Hey, don't worry, these aren't boring school lessons. We're gonna have fun. Just choose a story and we'll show you what to do. Good luck, and we'll see you soon.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride on a one-horse open sleigh. Oh!
Isn't this just great? It's our favourite time of the year. Presents, Christmas pudding and loads of snow everywhere.
Unless you live in Australia.
That's true. Well, you can't have everything. But this is the time of year when families like to get together. And while we want you all to have a great time, we want you to be careful as well. Did you know that more accidents happen around the house than anywhere else?
That's right. So we think you should move.
Zowie, that joke is older than Grandpa Wowie. And unfortunately, the accident you're about to see is caused by something that's also very old, but it's no joke. Let's watch what happens when Betty goes to turn on the Christmas lights. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
That wasn't meant to happen.
You can say that again, Zowie. That cable was so old it had started to break. It's given Betty an electric shock. What do you think we should do? That's right. We want to help Betty as quickly as possible. But if we don't turn off the power, we could end up getting an electric shock ourselves. So the first step is to take the plug out of the wall, but be careful. If you have any reason to think that the plug is also faulty, then turn off the power from the fuse box instead. Don't take any chances whatsoever. If you can't reach the plug or the fuses, or you think it might not be safe, then you have to try and get the cable out of Betty's hands instead. How do you think we can do that? That's right. You should only use a non-metallic pole, like a wooden broom. Also, stand on a pile of newspapers or some books. Why do you think that is? Well done! Now that we have removed the dangerous cable from Betty's hand, we can check to see if she is okay. Sometimes a person who receives an electric shock can become unconscious. If that were to happen to Betty, then what should we do? No, whenever someone is unconscious, you should always put them into the recovery position as quickly as possible. Well done! Once Betty is in the recovery position, then you should call for an ambulance. Occasionally, an electric shock can even stop you breathing. If this happens, we should call the ambulance straight away and then attempt to start the breathing again before the ambulance arrives, using mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. To learn how to perform this, you need a qualified instructor to show you how to do it. Usually, you will practice on a dummy at a first aid centre. This is a very important technique that can save lives, so if you would like to learn about it, maybe you can ask your teacher to arrange it. Fortunately, Betty wasn't knocked unconscious, but she is badly shaken. What do you think we should do now? Correct. Sometimes, when you get a shock, you can also get electrical burns, so we need to examine Betty's hand, where she was holding the cable. As you can see, Betty has burnt her hand, and it will be quite painful, so we need to cool it down as quickly as possible. Make sure you don't let the water get anywhere near the electricity. Then, once the pain has started to go away, take Betty to the hospital, even if the burn only looks very minor. This is because electrical burns can sometimes do damage inside the body, which you won't be able to see from the outside. But if there are no burns, and Betty appears to be okay, then take her somewhere quiet where she can rest for a while. Let's finish off this lesson with a quick test. I'm going to give you a selection of items to choose from. Some of them will be good conductors of electricity, and others will be poor conductors. When dealing with electricity, you should always be well insulated and only touch things that are poor conductors, as this helps to prevent you from getting a shock. Click on the 4 items that you think are poor conductors. Well done!
Just before we go, do you remember when Harry told you to look for the fuse box in case you need to turn off the power? Well, if you don't know where it is, ask your mum, dad or guardian to show you. Usually it will be under the stairs or in the garage, if you have one. It will look something like this. There will be a big switch which cuts off all the power to the whole house, and some smaller switches which control only a few things, like the lights and the plug sockets. If you know where the fuse box is in advance, it could save a lot of time. You should normally get an adult to turn things off in the fuse box. They will know which switches to press. Don't ever mess with the fuse box unless it is a real emergency.
And if you're planning on using anything electrical that hasn't been used for a long time, get an adult to check it first before you plug it in. Even if something is stored carefully in a box, the wires can start to go rotten, and that's what can cause an accident. Anyway, that's the end of this lesson. Here is your score. Maybe you try this lesson again later. Some kids just hate going to school, but everyone loves the end of term. No more lessons, just lots of fun. At our school, we always have a huge party with food and dancing and more dancing and well, I think you get the picture. But it doesn't matter how hard you try to have fun, there's always someone who wants to spoil it for the rest of us. Sure enough, there's Billy in the corner. I'd better call a teacher. Mr. Robbins! Mr. Robbins comes to the rescue. What do you think he's going to say? Stand back, everyone. Give Billy some air. There's nothing to see here. Why do you think Mr. Robbins moved the table? Choose 2 answers to move on. Wrong combination. Try again. Well done. Billy looks like he is almost unconscious. Hello, Billy. Can you hear me? Come on, Billy. Wake up. Open your eyes. What? What do you want? No, you can't go to sleep, Billy. Wake up. Did you drink this, Billy? No, I've never seen it before in my life. No, not me. No. I think Billy is very sick. Howie, go and call an ambulance. As you can see, Billy is on another planet right now. So Mr. Robbins will put him into the recovery position. That's really gross. But people who drink too much are often sick, and it's not funny. It can be very dangerous, especially if you're unconscious. Then you might swallow the puke and you could choke. So what do you think Mr. Robbins should do now? Well done. But be very careful in case Billy is sick again. You don't want him to throw up over you. Mr. Robbins is checking to make sure Billy can breathe properly. Sometimes when you are sick, your throat can get blocked, making it hard to breathe. Luckily for Billy, he's okay. If not, you would have to clear his throat for him. If you haven't already done so, try the lesson on choking to find out what you have to do. Mrs. Hall has brought a blanket. Why do you think that is? Well done. Now Mr. Robbins will wait with Billy until the ambulance arrives.
We were very lucky here because Mr. Robbins knew what to do. Sometimes there might not be an adult around. This is how you can tell if someone has drunk too much. They have a funny smell on their breath. Their behaviour is very strange. They speak in a loud voice with slurred speech like this.
What? What do you want?
Their face becomes very pale or very red. They keep trying to fall asleep. The pupils in their eyes get very large. They have difficulty breathing. So let's finish off this lesson with a few do's and don'ts. This will help you if you are on your own. Match each sentence with the correct explanation by dragging the boxes across. Well done. Here is your score for this lesson.
Well done. Throughout this program, you will sometimes be told to call for an ambulance. This is because some injuries are too serious even for first aiders to try and fix. You may not realize it, but calling for an ambulance is one of the most important lessons we can teach you, because it helps to save lives. And while you may think that it would be quicker to take a patient direct to the hospital instead of waiting, an ambulance will have trained and qualified paramedics on board who can provide vital assistance along the way. This lesson is actually very simple and straightforward. You just have to remember to stay calm so that the operator can understand you. To demonstrate, I'll show you how I called for an ambulance to help Grandpa Wowie when he was taken ill. The first step is to find a telephone. If you are indoors, you probably already know where the phone is. If you're outside, look for a public telephone. And if you can't find one, go into a shop or knock on someone's door and ask for help. Once you have found the phone, pick up the receiver and dial 999. Emergency, which service do you require? Ambulance, please. Connecting you now. The operator is now connecting me to the nearest ambulance station. The ambulance controller will ask me some questions. He will ask where I'm calling from. If you don't know, don't worry. Just give as much information as you can. The operator will normally be able to trace your call. I'm calling from 23 Acacia Street, Brimlington. Thank you, caller. What is the nature of the emergency? At this point, you should tell the controller exactly what's wrong. It's my grandpa. I think he's having a heart attack. If I was ringing up because there had been a big accident, say a car crash, it's very important to tell the controller how many people have been injured. That way, he will know how many ambulances to send. Tell him if there are any dangers to be aware of. For example, chemicals spilled all over the road. Also, if you're in a hard-to-reach place, the ambulance might have difficulty parking, so remember to tell the controller this as well. Is your grandpa conscious? Yes, but he's finding it very hard to breathe. Tell the operator if it is a man or a woman, young, middle-aged or old, conscious or unconscious, and what you think might be wrong. The controller will tell you what to do next. When the controller has enough information, he will tell you that an ambulance is on its way. Don't hang up the phone unless the controller tells you to. He may want to give you some first aid tips. An ambulance is on its way. Stay with your grandpa and make sure he's warm. Don't let him move about. If you are indoors and have a cordless phone, use it as it will allow you to remain with the patient while you are speaking. If you don't have a cordless phone, attend to the patient first before calling the ambulance. Unless the patient's heart has stopped, or you think that it has, if that happens, call the ambulance straight away before doing anything else, and the controller will tell you what to do next. Remember also never to put yourself at risk. If you have to knock on a stranger's door, never go inside the house. Tell the person what has happened and ask them to call for help. If you are with another person, one of you should stay with the patient while the other calls the ambulance. If someone asks you to call an ambulance, let them know when you have done it. This way, they know that help is on the way. It doesn't matter if you think someone else has already called for help. The ambulance controller will realize what has happened. It is much better for 2 people to call in than having nobody call at all. If you need to call for another emergency service as well, say the fire brigade, always call for the ambulance first. You can tell the ambulance controller you need further help and he will arrange it. Don't forget, calls to the emergency services are free, even on public payphones and mobile phones.
Goodbye.
Learning first aid could help you to save someone's life. And that's probably the coolest thing you could ever do. Thanks for trying the demo. See you soon.